So you may have heard the bad news about the BFGoodrich tire plant in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, coming to a close. And in this video, we're going to talk all about it, the good and the bad. And I certainly don't want to make light of it, but I also don't want this to be a doom and gloom video either. We're going to talk about how this is going to affect the Tuscaloosa area and the Tuscaloosa real estate market. And I'm Phil Duke Jr. with eXp Realty. I'm a local real estate broker here in Tuscaloosa, and I started this channel a couple years ago so that local people could hear what's going on here in the local area, and people from outside of Tuscaloosa would have an idea of what it's really like to live here, what's really going on here. And I'm in the real estate business, and I help people buy and sell and invest every single day. And these are things on this channel that Zillow can't tell you, that realtor.com can't tell you. So if you're watching this video and you get some value out of it, please help me out and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can always know what's going on inside the Tuscaloosa area. And if you're watching this channel, there is a good chance that you're thinking about making a move, whether it's to Tuscaloosa or maybe somewhere else. And a lot of people have been able to sell the house that they currently have and make that move by going to phildukejr.com. If you go to phildukejr.com, that link is below. You can enter your property address, you can upload some photos, and we have a network of investors from all across the country that will be able to see your property and submit cash offers on your property, and you can take the best one, or maybe take another option. There might be a better option out there. And so if you're watching this video and you're affected by the BFGoodrich closure, or you're just wanting to know what's going on in Tuscaloosa, you're thinking about making a move, it would be great to have that house sold and be able to make that move without having to deal with a house in another city, another state, and having to go back and forth. And as always, whether it's me or somebody else, you need to have somebody helping you with your real estate transactions in Alabama. It's a buyer beware state. Not every state is that way. It's a unique thing to Alabama. And my calendar link is down below. You can click that link, or you can scan the QR code, set up a time to talk with me, a phone call or a video chat, whichever you prefer. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into today's content. Now, what do we know right now? Well, right now we know that the BFGoodrich plant in Tuscaloosa, which has been here for a long time, is going to be coming to a close. And this is going to affect 1,200 jobs, approximately 1,200 jobs. But none of these cuts and the shutdown is not really happening in 2026. This is going to be 2027 and beyond is when this is really going to get started. So obviously there was a big announcement made. It's kind of scary, oh my goodness. I have a lot of personal friends and clients that work at that tire manufacturing plant. And when the news came out, initially it was like, oh no, this is horrible news. But then we started finding out, well, these cuts aren't happening immediately, right? This is announced at like the end of June, maybe the 1st of July, somewhere around that time frame. And so what we know right now is that nobody's losing their job in 2026. So the workers that are working there right now, they have options, right? Some of them will stay till the end, right? I don't know the exact plan that they have, but I would imagine it's going to happen in phases. They're not just going to come in one day and like lock the doors and put a padlock on it and put chains across the door and walk away from it. This is more than likely going to happen in phases, and so there will be some people that will stay to the very end. And when the thing does finally close, maybe they'll figure out where to go from there. They are closing this plant down, at least what they said, and from people that I know that work there have told me that the main reason they're closing is that a lot of the equipment is outdated, it's in bad shape, and it would cost so much money for them to go in and update the entire assembly line with machines and with parts that are up to today's standards. So they have a huge plant already up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Some of the people that are working here will have the opportunity to move to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and some of them probably will. It's going to be a big change for them. I love Indiana, by the way. It's a state that I've gone to several times. I'm part of a men's Bible study group that goes up there usually 1 week out of the year, and we rent a big cabin, a big lodge, and we go up there and we deer hunt, and we cook, and we have a Bible study every night. It's great. I love Indiana. It's not the worst place in the world to go. In fact, I think it's kind of like Alabama. It's kind of underrated. So some people will transition up to Indiana. I don't know how many, but I would imagine that they still want to produce a certain amount of tires. This is really, at least what it seems like, this is not really about like budget cuts and wanting to slow down production because people aren't buying as many tires. I mean, there's as many vehicles on the road now as there's been in a long time. So tires will still be needed to be produced, and I would imagine that the production of the overall company, even with this location here in Tuscaloosa closing, is probably still going to stay fairly close to what it is now, and they'll just do it all from one location, in a location that's a little bit more up to date, in a little bit better shape. And then some people have already, since this was announced, some people in the Tuscaloosa area that work at that tire plant have already either made a transition to another career or are actively looking right now, right? They don't want to be told like, hey, sorry, we don't have a job for you anymore. They want to go ahead and take it into their own hands. And so while this is a big loss, all right, 1,200 jobs is no joke, right? It's nothing to make light of. It is a big loss, but it's not an indictment. It's not a narrative of the whole Tuscaloosa area. So, for example, the Mercedes-Benz plant has been a staple here for a long time. They recently announced a $4 billion expansion between now and 2030. $4 billion, billion with a B. $4 billion. U.S. Steel, which is in the Fairfield area. It's kind of between here and Birmingham. Quite a bit of people who live in the Tuscaloosa area make that drive to work. It's an easy commute on the interstate. They recently announced a $475 million expansion with some more jobs coming there. And this past fall, the University of Alabama had a record attendance of 42,360. And since that campus has virtually doubled since Nick Saban arrived here in 2007, that's the number one employer in this area. More people work at the university than anywhere in this area. So overall, there's a lot of expansion still going on. There's a lot of other job opportunities out there for these workers, right? There's not necessarily another tire manufacturer, but some people work there in maintenance. Some people there are electricians. There's other specialties within there, and there's other plants in the area as well. There's a Nucor Steel plant here. Pfeiffer Wire is another big thing here. A lot of the Mercedes suppliers are here. I know they build the exhaust system here. They build the axles for the Mercedes in another plant here. They build the seats for the Mercedes, here locally. So as Mercedes is expanding, $4 billion expansion, one would think that some of those suppliers are going to have to also beef up their operations. So I tried to find out, and I could not find a definite answer of this, but with these other expansions going on, over the next 2 to 3 years, are we going to have more jobs, less jobs, or the same amount of jobs? And I couldn't get a clear answer on that. I guess time will tell. Just because they put $4 billion into the Mercedes plant, does that equal 100 jobs? Does that equal 300 jobs? Is that 2,000 jobs? That kind of information is not out there yet. But one would think that with the expansion of those other manufacturers in this area, that they would require more people, right? That's the one thing you can't automate. That's the one thing that AI can't replace is an actual human being doing a job, right? So how will this affect the Tuscaloosa area? Well, I think some people will make the move to Fort Wayne, Indiana. So we'll lose some people. I think some people will look for other job opportunities elsewhere, right? They might, there's also a Honda plant in Alabama. There's a Toyota plant in Alabama. There's a lot of manufacturing jobs in the state of Alabama, and most of them that I know of are always looking for good people. So there probably will be some people that leave. Um, you know, is it going to really affect the real estate market? It could potentially, but my thought is that overall, most of the people that I've talked to are still trying to stay in Tuscaloosa. Right? That's obviously like best case scenario. They don't want to sell their house. They don't want to change their kids' school zones. They don't want to have to sell what they've got and buy another one, in a market where the interest rates are a little bit higher than maybe they were several years ago. Right now, most people aren't moving unless they just absolutely have to move, right? I mean, I've got a 2.25% interest rate on my home. I'm a veteran, so I saw that number several years ago on a rate sheet. And when I saw that I could refinance my house at a 2.25% interest rate, I jumped on it right then. And we probably won't ever see that low of a number ever again. But there's a lot of people like me where if I was to consider moving somewhere, that would be a big factor in my decision making process. Is selling my house, walking away from this low house payment that I have right now, and no matter where I move, right, I'm more than likely going to jump into a higher mortgage payment than what I currently have. So it could affect the housing market. My best guess is that it's probably going to be pretty minimal. I don't think we're going to see like tons and tons of people just deciding to walk away. Again, people are still working right now. They've got time to figure it out. This is not like, they made an announcement and a week later they're closing down. Nobody's losing their job in 2026. Okay, so people have time. People have choices in the local area. There's plenty other manufacturers in the area. So overall, I think it's probably not going to be a huge impact to the Tuscaloosa area. I think those workers that are going to be losing their jobs will be able to jump into one of these other facilities, to another big employer, another manufacturer of something else. And I think overall, we hate to lose an employer in Tuscaloosa. It really stinks. But it's not doom and gloom. It's not the end of the world. This is not a sign of like bigger things to come, of Tuscaloosa losing a bunch of jobs and having a bunch of houses on the market that can't be sold. I don't think that's going to be the case here. So I hate it for those people that are going to be losing their job, that maybe had no plans of making a change, that plan to retire from there and now are going to have to find something else. I hate it for them. But I think they do have opportunities, and luckily this is happening at a time where the job market is pretty strong, right? This is not like 2007, 2008, where people are losing their jobs and they have no idea if they're going to be able to get another one anytime soon. I don't think that's really the case. Would love to hear your comments below. Comment below. Check out that calendar link if you want to chat with me one-on-one, and go to phildukejr.com if you need a cash offer on your property. I'll talk to you soon.